1. What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with my round up video for God damn it, I knew something was gonna fall. No. Today's video is going to be dedicated on just me reflecting on the year of Harpy. It's been a very long and strenuous one, I'm not going to lie, and of course, I'm going to try to condense this to a very short video as much as I possibly can, but apparently that's not going to happen, so if I have to break the video up, trust me, I'll break the video up, if need be. Yeah, I gotta do some editing, woo, but yeah, it's been a very long year being a Harpy player, and there's been so many different things that I've been playing around with for the last year. This does not include Rush Duel, because when the Harpies got introduced in the Rush Duel, that took a minute, and then that also took a majority of the things that was going on at the time. So trust me, it's been a very long year. And with everything else going on, I mean, what are some of the big benefits? We had a lot of reprints, we've had a lot of inclusion of things, but when 2024 comes into fruition, which I'll talk about at the end of the video, I am hoping that maybe, just maybe, we can get some support there. So yeah, this is going to be just a reflection of the things that I played in Harpies for the year of 2023. So starting off, I think one of the big things we should talk about is floodgates. Because Harpies love their floodgates. I think one of the most notorious Harpy floodgates is right here. Anti-spell fragrance. In combination with our field spell, Harpy's Hunting Ground, this has been a nasty thing that heavily spelled decks hate when it comes to playing against Harpies. Why? Harpies love anti-spell fragrance because if you set up the hunting ground, you set up a way to flood the board with Harpies for the following turn or your opponent's turn. Anti-spell fragrance can be very nasty. What anti-spell fragrance does is that while it's on the field, neither player can activate spell cards. They have to set them and wait a turn before activating them. That next turn. This shuts down a lot of the heavy spell decks because a lot of heavy spell decks need their spells, or just the game in general right now. A lot of decks are not using traps unless the traps can be activated from the hand or the graveyard without having to set them, or having monsters like Labyrinth who definitely benefit from having those cards being played without any restrictions. The thing about that is that it's funny when you do get Harpy Feather Duster, you have to worry about what your rebuttal is at that point. But Harpy's Hunting Ground plus the anti-spell fragrance is an amazing combo. It has been used slightly, but it is still one of the go-to things if you know your opponent is playing a deck full of heavy spells. And even can mess around with their heavy spell removal. So we're moving on from that. Then, of course, we have to talk about cards like, Insector Border, which is definitely used for Harpies. That's just another stun variant of anti-meta that Harpies take advantage of. Because there's a lot of range of anti-meta cards Harpies have used over the years. Like Thunder King Ryu, what was it? Your Thunder King. There's been a couple of the King Wangu, Tiger King Wangu was an old one. Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. A lot of various things that you could use with Harpies because there are a lot of beat sticks that you can easily spam into the Harpy side deck, and you just have them float around. And border is definitely a good cause for that. That's how high time meta has particularly been for them. Then moving from there, there is the ever faithful Ghost Match, Rivalry Warlords, where you take advantage of being Wind, you take advantage of being Winged Beast, you X out the Dragon, and you basically just play around from that. It does leave you out of some of your extra monsters, because you either play the Ghost Match to stick to Wind, or you play the Rivalry Warlords to stick to Winged Beast. Therefore, because of how things have been fluctuating within the game, Reverie has not seen too much of the extra deck play for a minute, but it has been a utility for other extra decks, and it was a good idea of things in case those situations come near B. Then, of course, we have a lot of the anti-hate cards that definitely sparks around. One of them being Forbidden Droplets, because it was an easy discard or send to the grave to trigger off things like Hysteric Sign. There is also Dark Ruler No More and Called by the Grave to help out with the support that it gave to dealing with the field full of nasty monster effects, or the graveyard trying to trigger things off. You can even say Crossout Designator if you were running a card, if you knew your opponent was running if you can correspond with the hand trap or spell in case, and that way you can just cross it out to get rid of it. So that is that fluctuation there. We move on from there, and then we want to talk about Trap Trick. Trap Trick is really good for one reason, and that's just bringing forth to the forefront Harpies Feather Storm, while also trying to figure out how you're ever going to get the other Feather Storm back. Most of the time, you're using just to flex out the Feather Storm to get it. So move on from that. Then we go on to, I think, one of the bigger highlights of it is that, yeah, we kind of have a lot of utility cards, and some of them I'm probably going to be using um, later on in, well, probably most so, hopefully next year, because there are a lot of things that have been utilized for our Harpies when it comes to things. One of the big things I do want to bring up, of course, is that we do lack a big power support card, so we try to use other power support cards to help out with that. One of them was being Double or Nothing in conjunction to, of course, the utilities of our extra deck, being that Harpies had a great rank for engine, and that engine in Survice ended up using the Utopia package. Now, however you built your Utopia package was different, but the Utopia package was something that was still catered on to. Funny enough, I never really liked the Double or Nothing, so my Utopia package was basically just using Utopia into Ray and then going into the Lightning. That way I would have 2 checks for Utopia the Lightning instead of just the one. Most likely you'd be getting the one off of the Utopia Double. Now the Utopia Double was supposed to help you get into the Utopia to get the Double or Nothing, and then have the Utopia Swing, and then you play the Double or Nothing to juice up the power of Utopia, who just stopped an attack and basically raises attack points enough so that you can knock out your opponent freely. So, yeah, it's a small package, but if you're using the package, I'm sure. I only used the package once, but I at that point was just using Double or Nothing, which was just the add-on B in case something happened to Utopia. So, alright, moving that out of the way, because that was a quick fixture. Then there are, of course, the support cards from just being generic support that's really good. While most decks take advantage of these things, most things were not. One was Pot of Prosperity, which this card definitely got its reprint set up really fast. Banishing cards from our extra deck that we don't use to at least survive cards that we want it as soon as possible can be very handy. The problem is that because how much of an extra deck Harpies relied on, this card kind of can be very finicky. If you want to advise for Pot of Prosperity, this is kind of the reason why I said I was running the double pot of the double Harpies Feather Rest, because at least I know with Rest I'm not going to be locked out of half damage, I can't draw or stuff like that. Which Pot of Prosperity works in some decks that if it's utilized, utilize it. If not, there's no need for it. Another thing I can say is Triple Tactics Talent as draw power. But remember, Triple Tactics Talent has like Triple Tactics setup, because you can either Pot of Greed, draw 2, Confiscation, or you could Change of Heart. Even though Change of Heart was already in the game, it's still a decent enough card that you have a card that does 3 of these actions of forbidden or previously forbidden card in one. I was actually quite shocked because I didn't ever think Change Your Heart was ever going to come off the list, and apparently, well, it did. And now here's Snatch Steal. So, yeah, there also is Triple Tactics Resting, but that card's way too expensive at the moment. But the bright side to that card itself is that you can at least get Harpies Feather Storm off of that. And trust me, similar to Trap Trick, it's bringing the cards to your hand as much as possible that you would utilize to either counter your opponent or to survive your field to have some type of defense. Then the controversial one, Small World. So let's talk about Small World. Let's actually get these two off the field, because we're going to talk about Small World plus Droll and Lockbird. Now, this is the reason why I said this was going to be one of those things of, I'm not running this card because this card had some issues, and one of the issues is Small World, not Draw and Lockbird. Draw and Lockbird is a great decision to any deck, especially because it stops your opponent from drawing outside of draw phase, as well as searching for cards till the end of the turn. Small World was supposed to help flesh out Draw and Lockbird. Problem is that you're banishing 2 cards to survive to 1. This is part of the reason why I didn't like Winnie the Wind Channeler and have not ran Winnie the Wind Channeler in my Harpy deck, because Winnie has restrictions to her as well. What are those restrictions? Well, Winnie says that you can't use the effects of anything else for the rest of the turn except for wind. Here's the problem. Most of your extra deck or most of the support cards you need are not going to be wind. Harpies already have enough issues as that is. So there goes the reason why I decided not to flood that card into it. The next thing is that I decided to flood in various support cards to try to search for things. Small World is just not one of those things that I'm going to be relatively using in the upcoming format. But if I did, it's probably not going to be too many Small Worlds, and it's not going to be too many targets because you need your Harpies in your graveyard. You don't need them vanishing. We don't have a good support of things to support the damage unless you want to run stuff like Firefighter Dorumadal. That could be an option to run, but then again, you have to wait out and fluctuate things with Dorumadal. So, yeah, there was a deck profile with this. I already addressed that situation, and it's most likely still in the lineup of deck profiles and stuff for the Harpies. So, yeah, there's my thing with Small World in the Drone Lockbird. Alright, moving out of that, we're going to talk about powerhouses and combo setups. I think it's time to just talk about one of the things I didn't expect was the Symbols of Heritage. And in conjunction with Symbols of Heritage is Phalanx Pike. Now, these are two good spells that definitely work with the Harpies from the OG sets, where Phalanx Pike, really OG Harpy card. You equip it to a monster, and for every monster in your graveyard that shares the same name as the monster equipped to it, it gains 900 attack times that. There were a couple of builds, of course, based around that once the card Armory Call came into play. What Armory Call does is that you can add an equipped spell from your deck to your hand, then you can activate the equipped spell, or you can put it into your hand. So you kind of use this in conjunctions where you would try to trick your Armory Call, then you would bring Armory Call to the field activated to get the Phalanx Pike, and then the Phalanx Pike would equip to Harpy Lady, and then that Harpy Lady would be swinging in for massive damage because you'd be trying to flood your graveyard with a whole bunch of Harpy Ladies or Harpy Lady monsters so that you can power up your one Harpy Lady field. That's at 9 out of 10. It'll probably be Cyber Slash because she's the one that has the most the highest base attack on the board. And then you had a swing. His Symbol of Heritage was basically just here to work as a premature burial for the Harpies since everyone in the graveyard basically shares the same name. It is a running gag that I was using a lot of these cards to survive those hidden spaces, and then you can use a lot of these old combos with cards like Miss Valley Falcon to bounce them back so you can reuse them. But yeah, there's just a lot of the staple old setup with this that just really sparked up some creative play at that point. And that's why I loved running around with Phalanx Pike and Hidden Armory, just as some options there. Alright. And then I was also shocked when this card came to 3, because I was like, oh, yeah, this is a definite card. I also have a video up on Symbols of Heritage and Phalanx Pike as well, in terms of that. We're going to move on from there, and we're going to talk about some more wind setup we have to talk about, and that is Divine Wind of the Mist Valley, which I am very shocked that Divine Wind of the Mist Valley has not been moved to 3 here in the TCG, and I said that in my deck profile, because this is a really good card that utilizes between 3 of the Harpy monsters: Cyber Slash Harpy Lady, Harpy Dancer, and Harpy Harpist, and Harpy Conductor. Sorry, not 3, 4, because of their ability to bounce cards on the field. And once those bounces happen, you can correspond with Divine Wind of the Mist Valley and special summon Harpies monsters from your deck to the field, or take advantage of other wind monsters and utilize them and bring them to the field. I do love Divine Wind of Mist Valley, but because of its restrictions to 1 as well as terraforming, there's really not much you can easily do about that. I even think the fact that we've lost so much in terms of support for Harpies is because of how things have fluctuated outside of it. It does really just preach a strain to it. Now we're going to talk about even more wind cards. We do have some in Storm, and we have Wing Requito. I believe these cards came out towards the end of either 2021 or 2022, and I want to say it's 2022. Summon Storm was basically supposed to assist in summoning more wind monsters to the board. Wing Requito was supposed to be some draw power, but for these are still relatively good cards, but unfortunately they're kind of very niche as they have so many stipulations to them. For Wing Requito, you have to pay like 600 life points You have to control 2 Winged Beast monsters and only control Winged Beast monsters on the field while you activate it, just for a draw 2. Now, Summon Storm can easily be a extender. Its extensions can also be relegated to just wind, which is not a bad thing because it does allow you to fluctuate the extra that gets off there. But it becomes a lot of problems when you have to play around with it. So yeah, that is Summon Storm. Alright, we got the Ring episode, we got Storm out the way, and now let's talk about Iborez and some more Bird of Protection. Don't worry, I'll talk about Big Bird in just a moment, but this is basically what you're utilizing to extend your normal summons as well as get some additional play. I do believe Laundries were playing around with some more Bird of Protection, but that was only because they were trying to just reduce the amount of monsters needed for the tribute summons of Floanderies monsters. Then, fun fact, Floanderies have a card that helps with that, and it's called Floanderies in the Wandering. I think it's the Traveling Winds or Resurrecting Winds is the continuous spell. But this is just more for more extensions and then playing around with your food, if you will. Samorg is still a great addition to the Harpy, a great support card to the Harpy archetype. And it's funny enough that when getting their own support cards, you never thought that there would be even more plots to run them. And I definitely was running these two in combination with a lot of Harpy combos because there were just so many things you could easily do off of these. Now, moving out of that area, of course, is the Unexpected Die. And I previously said this, that Unexpected Die was just trying to cover up the one issue that Harpies have is we don't have a Cyber Dragon as monster to relegate the field. Now, what do I mean about that? We have Oracle, we have Fearsome Fire, but here's the thing about them. They have to have a Harpy that's already on the field present in order for them to be such a summon. Harpy Oracle needs a level 5 or higher. Harpy Pet Dragon Fearsome Fire needs a level 6 or lower. So in such sequence, you need a Harpy that's already placed on the field. We would like to have a Harpy monster that does not need a monster on the field and can be easily social summoned, or at least when you control Harpies already on the field, you can social summon it. Because there's a ton of VGO cards currently in the game that have that similar clause. But unfortunately, we don't. And we have to rely on Unexpected Eye to do extensions of those plays. And I wish we didn't, because this would definitely be a cause for that. Now, if I have anything to say about this, I have utilized the Unexpected Die, and I think Unexpected Die would be great if you wanted just for the plethora of extenders. But for most builds, I have just recently just went back to Harpy Lady 1. I don't know, you can probably slash it in, but it's like I said, room is essential if you want things to be essentially used for those types of situations. Because I'm not saying any of this is bad, I'm just saying that we definitely need a Cyber Dragon monster for the Harpy archetype that isn't relegated to having another Harpy on the field or us having to force be using other cards in order to extend those setups. Alright, and then moving on from that, because yeah, these piles are starting to dress. Tempest, the Dragon Ruler of Storms. Now that Tempest is unbanned, and we have seen the unbanning of many of the Dragon Rulers, could there be a possible cause for Tempest to return to the extract? No. There is those issues of Tempest. The reason why is simply because Tempest has a lot of issues standing onto it. I have to banish wind monsters and or dragon monsters respectively to summon Tempest. Tempest's only big gripe is that, well, I can at least use it on Channeler to make it rank 7 play. Kind of like how the OG 2013 setups were. But that even led to more problems as, well, unless you're running unless you're running wing monsters that weren't Harpy Lady, it would be essential to be playing Tempest, but even then at that point, Tempest is its own enemy. Like, if there were multiple Tempests, it'd probably be different. If you're running Lightning, it'd probably be fine. Subsequent to that, if you're running Dragonities with Harpies, that would be intense. I know the Dragonities haven't been here, or you haven't probably seen them yet, but the Dragonity build and Harpy build combo set is something that I'm working on currently, and I've seen some ideas for it, but it's something that I want to probably play around with in 2014, not right now. But yeah, this is an idea that can still be probably run, but like I said, cards for the banished area have to appear in the Harpy archetype in order for that to be played around with. Then there is the Bestials, which I definitely want to play these guys. I actually have some Dreadworm. I have a Dreadworm coming, but I do want to play around the Bestials because I've seen a Harpy build with Master Duel playing around with Bestial. And Bestial does survive against Light and Dark decks, has your own slice of light and dark and has some good removal and search capabilities within their archetype. I mean, even then, we also can include Kashtira, which is something I did not ever expect to see. But yeah, Kashtira Harpy is a thing. And it utilizes its own engine along with Harpy's ability to pop spells and traps and flood the field with Harpy monsters to assist in having more extensions to rank 4 and rank 7, as well as extending into link play. So this is something that definitely will be opening the floodgates for 2024. With that in turn, is there anything else to talk about? I guess just the plethora of things that we haven't addressed. I was, of course, touching up with some of the Harpy support with Triangle Sissy Spark and Harpy Lady Elegance, just as additional cards for Harpy Perfume to search for, and for Harpy Harpy Oracle to retrieve. If there's anything that I have to say or put into perspective, is that I do love the relevance of Harpy support cards. It's just that I wish some of them were a lot better than others, or some of them were actually worded how they are in Rush Duel, which would be even more beneficial to the archetypes there. Because I've said it countless times again, definite retrains or definite resets for a lot of the Harpy cards would definitely be loved. It's hard for legacy decks that are very much kin to it to get support, and trust me, this is one of them. So, alright, we have put those out of the way, and then of course the big thing is that your extra deck has so many various options of things you can easily run. It has been very hard, of course, since Samorg has been banned, which leaves out the Barrier Statue and Miss Valley Apex Avian. But if you're playing Master Duel, you still are rocking out with Sovereign of Birds, so do have fun with that while you can, until unfortunate banning comes to that. I really would wish the TCG bring that back, but there are a lot of things that are messing around with the TCGs, so it is a couple of things there. We move on from that extra deck monster to just to talk about all the plethora things that you have arranged. Because remember, I've said this throughout the video, Harpies have a great extension of rank 4, rank 7, and even into the link climb. And it's simply just because of how much of the modern support helps flood out some of the older support to flood in a lot of the newer support. And I do love that about Harpies, because look at all these monsters that I have used over the last year, and some of these monsters I played around with. We got Babushka, Big Eye, Red Eyes, we have Great Fly, Pendestag, the Runa Doll. Look at all those big rank 4 monsters, link 4 monsters up there. We even have the Tri Brigade we were playing around with to survive things, because they were just a great asset to the Beast family, and it was something I was very excited for upon their release. And even now, with a lot of the things that have happened, I still say, because I run Fairjeet, I wish we did have some more to round out things, and then had the essential things to back up once it happened. But I'm pretty sure many people, because I get a lot of praise too about the variations of extra deck monsters that I've used over the years, just in terms of creativity or at least strategies to things. So it's a nice plus. If anything, it's a definitely nice plus to see. But I wish I would have my Big Bird back, because I miss my Big Bird. I do. I miss Samorg. I really do miss Samorg. Samorg was just a great addition to Harpy's extra deck, and it's just sad that it's not here. It's here on Master Duel and in the OCG, but it just really sucks, because it's like, wow, I would have traded in 2 cards to bring you back legitimately. But only 24 can decide that. So, with that said, that's pretty much just my round out for this year in terms of the year of the Harpy. And hopefully 2024 does a substantial job of things to come. And hopefully when deck builds and stuff like that are immense, I will definitely give you guys some more insight to that as well. So thank you guys so much for hanging out for this for this almost 25-minute video. I'll try to leave some time stats in it, if anything. But I do appreciate it, and I hope you guys are enjoying the content and content to come for next year. So with that said and done, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I do upload more content to the channel. The social media links are in the description box below, and if there's any cards that you guys liked in this video, or like to give me some praise of for things I have used. Definitely leave that in the comment section as well. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. HPJ signing out. Take care.